Hey BookTube, it's Jackie. How's it going? If you're new to me and this is the first time you're seeing my face, hello, what's up? My name's Jackie. I sit on my floor and I talk about books. So that's why you're here, because that's what's going to be happening today. If you're not new to me, thank you for always tuning in and the continued support. I really do appreciate it. So today for you, I have my weekly wrap up. This is from July 10th through July 16th and all my reading shenanigans in between. And I completed 4 books this week, people. Yay, go me. I completed 4 books. Granted, one was really, really short, but I still completed it and I'm proud of it. And I have a 5th book that I'm in the process of finishing that I will talk about at the end of the video. So without further ado, since we have quite a few to talk about, grab yourself a drink, have yourself a seat, and let's get talking some books. Okay, so the first book that I completed this week was my Smut Club book, The In-Flight Up in the Air, Book 1 by R.K. Lilley. I almost said R.K. R. Kelly. Sorry. Yeah, R.K. Lilley. I picked this book up for the Smut Club hosted by That Tall Book Girl and Oh Hey It's McKay. I will link both their channels down below, and I will put in the date of the live show if you would like to go and watch it. I don't remember off the top of my head right now when it is, but I'll make sure I put it in the description box below. So this is the second installment for the Smut Club. I did not get to participate last month, but I want to make sure I did this month because I think this idea is great. And all these books were picked based off their smut level, and I believe this one falls into the category. It was definitely smutty. It was. It is the first installment in a trilogy, and it is a billionaire BDSM romance. This book was actually released a year after 50 Shades of Grey, so it is right in that 50 Shades of Grey billionaire train. It's on it, and it's definitely reminiscent of it. I mean, it's a trilogy on top of it. So far, we're kind of following the same sequence of events, just different characters and different professions, but very much reminiscent of it, which didn't lend well to its success for me, but we will get into that. So but what you do need to know about this book before I get talking about it is that there is dubious consent displayed in this book. There are quite a few BDSM practices, but not like the hardcore stuff. This is more tame BDSM. We do have a sex swing that makes an appearance, which is kind of fucking cool. So yeah, but we also have domestic violence, child abuse, and homophobia off page. It is just referenced to, but it is off page. So I do want to make sure you are aware of that. And there is a big element of stalking in this book. That is one of the major differences between that I saw between the 50 Shades and this book. Is the stalking element was very much in your face. It was not hidden at all. So what this book is about, or at least this installment, is we follow Bianca and James Cavendish. Bianca is a flight attendant with a dark past and a virgin, and she meets James Cavendish, who is a multi-billionaire with a dark secret as well, on her passenger list, and he's immediately drawn to her. He has this extreme powerful connection to her, and she realizes that he is someone to be reckoned with, someone that's special, and someone she just can't seem to stay away from. So very, very insta lust, insta love, all of it. Very, very insta connections. And once the initial conversations have taken place, a very, very aggressive courting period happens on behalf of James. James does not hold back any punches. He goes full out, and it's impressive what he does for her. I did enjoy that. I thought it was kind of unique. Well, not really unique, but what he was doing, the little things that he was doing for her to show that he wanted to be with her and everything like that, I thought was fantastic. But it was definitely hardcore, like stage 5 clinger. Oh yeah, he was a stage 5 clinger for sure. Little intense at points, a little bit. Now this is the first installment in a trilogy, and it does end on a cliffhanger, so I can't go much into any further depth of the summary of this book. Just know that it's the first installment of a trilogy, and I'm sure that it will go some certain places. I mean, we're in the Mile High Club now, boys and girls, so let's have some fun with it. We could go anywhere. So, Okay, so what worked in this book? The instant connection, although a lot of people don't like that, it's kind of annoying, it's kind of overdone. It was acknowledged in this book. There were multiple times in this book where Bianca would be talking to her friends saying, look, he's gonna be done with me in 2 weeks. This is just like lust. Like, he doesn't love me. He doesn't really even know me. I can't get attached because this is gonna be over in a few weeks. So I like the fact that it was acknowledged and it was brought to the forefront. It's like, hey, look, this is kind of fucking creepy, but I'm gonna go with it because you're fucking hot. So let's do it. But at the same time, it was still brought to the forefront that this is fucking creepy and this is weird. And very, very insta, and I need to be careful. I need to be safe. So I did enjoy that. There was some great side characters. Steven in particular, I love him. I would like to see more of him. I really hope in the rest of the series that I will see more of him. Because I did enjoy his character. I just liked the way he treated Bianca. I liked the way he stood by her. I liked his backstory. I liked how their backstory is interlinked. It was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed his side character, and yes, he needs to stay for a long time. An element in this book that I really, really appreciated, this is a BDSM book, but like I said, it's not super hardcore BDSM, but one element of the BDSM lifestyle that is displayed that I don't see very often is the element of aftercare. So this would be the care that the dominant gives to the submissive after a scene is over. He just doesn't walk away and say, hey, fucking figure out your fucking self. It's the tending to any wounds that actually were created during the consensual scene. Making sure that they're in their right headspace, that they have come out of their submissive space successfully, that they're back to their core person. And it was very much displayed and put on page multiple times to see this. So I thought that was really, really great because that is a huge element to a successful dominant submissive relationship, is the level of aftercare that is given on behalf of the dom to the submissive and on the submissive to the dom, because sometimes the submissive does have to take care of their dominant after a scene because of the effects of the scene itself. So I really enjoyed the fact that it was put on page because you don't see it that often. It's referred to, but this was actually, you physically saw the aftercare over and over and over again. So I thought it was great. Things that didn't work in this book. 50 Shades of Grey, Billionaire Train. Just, there were so many similarities that it was just like, man, damn it. So that was irritating. She's a virgin and then she loses her virginity, which is, we have that trope in here. We get it. But how easy she lost it. Knowing her backstory, I just don't feel like it would have happened that way. I feel like it would have meant something more to her. But then again, there are girls out there that do not give a flying fuck about the V card. They just don't care. It's like a hindrance to them and they rather just get rid of it. But she's almost in her she's in her mid 20s, 25, maybe 28, somewhere in there. And you still have it. So obviously it means something to you. It's not just a lack of not wanting. Because if you really didn't want it, you just fucking go get rid of it with some rando. But you kept it. It means something to you. So it would just kind of bother me, the ease of her giving it up to someone she's literally only known for 2 weeks. Even though, you know, he's just showering her with gifts and attention. It's like, you acknowledge the fact that this is completely insta. You can't get attached, but yet you're going to give him something that you can't ever give away again. In my mind, that didn't work. That just didn't work for me. But for some people, it probably doesn't even matter. So, to each his own. And the main thing in this book that didn't really work for me was some of the phraseology of the dirty talk. I love dirty talk, don't get me wrong, as long as it's done well and there's a reason for the dirty talk. It's not just saying words to say words. I didn't like the phrasing that they used of the dirty talk. The dirty talk amount was great. What needed to be said had to be said, but it was just the way it was said. And here's a direct quote. I'm going to tie you down and take your hymen. I'm sorry, what? What? Because that's fucking sexy. Oh yeah, that's pretty fucking sexy. That was a cringe for a moment. That was a cringe, but I was like, oh God, that was awful. I'm all for talking about, you know, male and female anatomy in their correct anatomical terms. That's great. I think it should be utilized more often because we shouldn't be shy of saying those fucking words. But when you're trying to seduce me, pushing me up against a wall in an airplane and saying, I'm going to tie you down and take your hymen. That doesn't scream fucking sexy to me. It was a very cringe. Very cringe. And then there was another moment where this is actually said a few times. Stroking your petals of your sex. The fuck? What? All right. Well, that just happened. That's a thing, and that just happened, and I just read that. And I'm never gonna get it out of my head again. Damn it. So there was some messed up phraseology for me on this. But yeah, so this book was a 3-star for me. It was a 4 on the chili pepper scale because it did have the BDSM practices. We got to see a sex swing. That was fantastic. The graphic language with very dominant tones, even though we had some very cringy statements, was still there. And we had a first-time experience. So 4 chili peppers for me on the smut level, 3-star on the book. But I do plan on continue with this series just to find out what happens because I'm just like that. I have to know what happens at the end of that cliffhanger because that twist was just like, yeah, you just sealed it for me. Fuck. I love and hate when books do that. I love and hate it at the same time. So, yes. And again, I will link the live show, or I'll put the live show date down in the down box below. And then once the live show happens, I will relink it up to this video so you guys can watch it if you'd like. All right. So the next book that I completed was an audiobook, and this is The Professor by Serena Akeroyd. Here you go. Okay, this cover does not really display what this book's about. So I don't think this was the greatest cover art. So I have to just point that out right now because when I look at this cover, it's not what I saw in the book. But again, I could be wrong. This is just how I see it. This is a standalone, and I said it was an audiobook. It was narrated by Wen Ross and Kate Kennicott, which they were fantastic together. Oh, such a good fucking combo. I loved it. I loved it. This is a bully romance with a teacher-student romance thrown in there with a lot of stalking. So we've got 3 big tropes in here. There is coerced consent, which is different from dubious consent, and we'll go into that later. There's death of a child off page, verbal abuse, stalking, and domestic assault off page. So some big triggers in this book as well, but the hardcore ones were off page for me. And this follows Nicholas and Phoebe. Phoebe is a student in Nicholas's creative writing class, and she works 2 jobs, goes to school full time, and is trying to support her baby brother and her pretty much good for nothing mother. Really, really bad home life. Her mom brings home men for money. She's an alcoholic, it alludes to some drug use, but you don't actually see it. And she is trying to take care of her infant baby brother. Like, we're talking baby brother. Nicholas, however, is a divorced professor with a very, very cruel streak that was not always there, but it was forced upon him by his ex-wife. So we do have a vindictive ex-wife in the picture as well with this book, which does come into play and is a really good element to the story. So I thought she was done really, really well. Nicholas is obsessed with Phoebe from day one. He stalks her. He stalks her to protect her. That's the guys that he's using to do it. And he sees Phoebe, who is hard up for money because her normal babysitter has gone to the hospital. And she needs to get some cash together to pay another woman to babysit her baby brother because she can't trust him with her mother. So she pockets $30 from her morning job from the till. And of course, her professor who has been stalking her sees it and uses it as blackmail to finally coerce her into being around him and getting some kind of sexual gratification from this voyeuristic relationship that he's had with her for a while. That's where our story really like sets off and takes off. And I enjoyed this. I actually gave this story a 3-star. It was more like a 3.75 actually. It wasn't 4 for me, but it wasn't just a 3. So it was in that range. What worked in this book were the sex scenes. They were fantastic. I thought they were stunning. The language used within them I thought was right on point. It wasn't too over the top, but yet it wasn't so underrated that I felt like nothing was really happening. The pace of the story, it did keep you on your toes. Once one resolution was done, a new problem arose, and it kept you engaged, kept you moving with the story. So it wasn't just straight, hey, I'm going to stalk you, I'm going to blackmail you, then I'm going to sleep with you. We did have some major plot developments other than just the sex level, although the sex was a great plot point. The plot to the story was really, really good, and I liked the pacing that Serena Akeroyd used with the story. I was very much engaged most of the time. I finished this audiobook in a day because I just wanted to keep listening to it, and also, you know, when Ross is talking, so I'm going to listen to him. I really liked the dependency that Akeroyd created within the two main characters. It wasn't dependency that we cannot sustain without each other. It was just a mutual dependency that they really knew they could rely on each other despite both of them having shit backstories. I like that trust level that they brought in and that reliance that they brought in on each other once the initial stalking had been revealed. I really, really enjoyed that element of the story a lot. I thoroughly applaud Serena Akeroyd on that. She did a really, really good job with it. What didn't work for me was really the blackmail reason. I just thought it was kind of shoddy. Like, she stole $30. No, you shouldn't steal. You shouldn't steal. But the way it was portrayed is that this was literally the end all to her life. He would inform her boss. She would get fired from this job. Now, mind she has another job, but then her boss would inform the school and she'd lose her scholarship, which she's going to an Ivy League school based off an academic scholarship because she can't afford it. So she'd lose that. And then therefore she wouldn't be able to work at her other position because it's overnights. And just, it was this snowball that I really don't think actually would have happened. Yeah, she probably would have lost her first job, but unless the teacher, and I mean, he did say that he was going to go to the dean, but then she could have easily fired back, like, well, why the fuck were you in the coffee shop stalking me? You know, she had power there, but she just didn't see it because of fear factors. So the initial blackmail reason, I just didn't really buy. And also, she always talked about these owners of this coffee shop that she was working in being very, very understanding, very reliable, but they wouldn't ever pay her early. I think if she would have brought her scenario to them, been more open and more trusting of people, she might have had a different outcome and she would not have been put in the position that she was in. But then we wouldn't have a story with some really sexy scenes. So there you go. Speaking of sexy, this got a 4 on the chili pepper scale because there was some unique elements to the story I really enjoyed. The graphic language and adult content was great. There was forced masturbation in this, and this is where this coerced consent was. He has coerced her into masturbating in front of him. He is not touching her. He is not doing anything. He is just literally telling her and watching her as she does it and using it as blackmail. So this is where the coerced comes in, and then we have but she never did anything to him, and I really thought this element was cool. It's like he never got anything out of this. He just got to watch, and I was just like, okay, all right, well, that's a unique turn of events. That's okay. I like that. I could go for that. That's pretty cool. Nice. There was dominant language and submission once we really get the sex part of the story rolling. And there was a remote vibrator included, which was fantastic because he used it on her while she was in class. And I thought that was fucking hilarious. I personally think that trope is fucking hilarious. And I totally enjoy when it's used in books. I've seen it used in a few books right now so far. And I thoroughly enjoy it because I just think couples do shit like that to each other. Not to that level, but it's on a sex level. I think that's exactly like, you know, a husband and a wife or a boyfriend and girlfriend poking fun at each other and kind of making them feel uncomfortable because then they just depend on, it's like, I fucking hate you for doing this to me. But yet they secretly like that they're doing it because it's the tension. So I just really like that concept and I liked how it was used. It was a good time. This was a good one for me. I did give it a 3-star. Like I said earlier, like a 3.75 is really what it was, but it was still good. I definitely liked this one. It was good, but the cover just doesn't really fit with the book for me. So it didn't. All right, the next book I completed was Abbi Glines Until Friday Night. And this is the first installment to the Field Party series. It's a small town bully romance. There is loss of a parent and domestic abuse off page. Or loss of a parent is on page, domestic abuse is off page. And this thing, I loved this. I read this in one sitting. I had such a good time with this. This thing brought me so much enjoyment. I loved it. So we follow Wes and Maggie. Maggie is a self-imposed mute. She is choosing not to speak because of some traumatic experiences that happened in her past. And by her not speaking, she is preventing herself from hearing her own voice, and preventing herself from talking about the past trauma because she doesn't want to talk about it. She doesn't want to relive it anymore. She did lose her mother. She witnessed her mother's murder. And she just, for her own sanity or her own health, she's chosen not to speak because she doesn't think she can not talk about it. Wes is the All-American football star, and he is currently losing his father from a severe battle with pancreatic cancer, and he can't do it anymore. And he has been suffering in silence. He won't tell his teammates. He won't talk to anybody about it. So it is starting to come to the fruition that his dad is going to leave, and he has nobody. He hasn't told anybody. And then here comes Maggie, who is moving in with her aunt and uncle and her cousin Brady, who happens to be Wes's best friend. And Wes is immediately taken with her. He thinks she's stunning, but she doesn't speak. And he finds her and just, for some reason, feels the need and the comfort with her to just spill everything. Probably because of the fact that she's not going to tell anybody. But except what he doesn't see coming is that she does speak. She speaks to him. And this is where we start this really sweet, endearing, therapeutic romance in this book. And it's super, super adorable. I really enjoyed this romance a lot. What worked in this book was the relationship between Maggie and Wes. It was not drippingly sweet, but it was just that sweet high school romance that you're just like, they're so cute together. I just love this. All the squishies. It was fantastic. I loved it. It was so sweet, so romantic. And the sneaking out of the house to go sit over the cliff, like the makeout point to look at all the lights. I was just like, man, this is like a small town. I'm from the Midwest, small town. So this really, really resonated with me because this is shit that I wish I would have done in high school. Had I had the opportunity to. I was not the cool girl in high school. I was not the one that hung out with other people. But it was so endearing. It was very, very endearing. But when Maggie realizes that Wes is completely depending on her 100% for his own sanity, she sees her past trauma with her father and her mother coming back. And she doesn't want to relive it. So she, being 18, still makes the educated, she still has enough mental clarity to say, look, we need to take a step back. Like, yes, I'm becoming part of this world because you have helped me work through my own things. I'm helping you work through your things. But you can't solely depend on me. You have to depend on yourself. And so I need to take a step back. And I like the fact that actually happened because I remember being a teenager and being like, my whole world revolved around this one fucking person. And I like the fact that these teenagers knew that you had to sometimes step away. So I thought it was kind of cool. Abbi Glines' writing style. I read her Vincent Boy series, and the way she writes, she just gives you this like really nice feeling of hope and just anything's possible. And it reminded me of when I was back in high school where literally the world was my oyster. I could do whatever I wanted. I could be anything I wanted. Life hadn't gotten in the way. Stupid boys hadn't gotten in the way. Stupid trauma and everything like that. Anything was possible. And it reminded me of it. And I just fucking adored it. I loved it so fucking much. It was so great. What didn't work about this book? I didn't really find anything that didn't work about this book because of my feelings about this book. I just felt very at home. I resonated with the characters. Technically resonate with the characters. I resonated wanting to be the characters. I remember wanting to be in that high school romance and have the guy give me his jersey so I could wear it to the home football game, which never happened, but it's okay. I ended up marrying my football player and I have his actual jersey now, so it's fine. it was just very, very sweet. And I just really, really enjoyed it. As for a spice rating, this was only 2 on the chili pepper scale. There was some mild language because, you know, they're teenagers. We have to be a little raunchy. There were some adult themes involved with the sexual nature. And there was a few fade to black scenes. And of course, there was the first time trope as well, which I thought was really, really well done. I thought it was very, very sweet that first time. The consent was there. The acknowledgement was there. And, you know, it was just this really, it just felt really good. It was just a really nice feel-good book. It wasn't a panty moistener. It wasn't a panty dripper. It was a book that reminded you when anything was possible. And when love was pure and unadulterated and just, it was fun. When love could be fun. That's what it reminded you of. And I really, really enjoyed it. So I definitely plan on continuing with the series for sure. I gave this thing 5 stars. So yeah, great. I love this. This was fantastic. And the last book I completed this month was this little novella, The Vampire's Throne. It's a paranormal romance, and it is the first installment in the Royal Blood series, and it is by A.J. Tipton, which A.J. Tipton is actually 2 girls working together. I believe it is Annie and Jessie. So A.J. Tipton. So that's actually a dual author. This has some graphic language, but this thing's only 95 pages, okay? So brief synopsis, we have Alice, who's a photographer whose attention to details catches the eye of Christopher Dowell, and he is a vampiric prince. Christopher offers her a chance to become a vampire because he believes her gift and her sight of these details and the beauty in them is something that should be preserved and remain forever. That is how Christopher chooses his sires. He doesn't choose them based off his attraction to them. He chooses them based off their skill set and what he thinks that they could bring to the world. And he's very into art and beauty and culture, and that's what he wants to perpetuate throughout eternity. However, he is highly attracted to Alice, of course, because she's a stunning woman. And Alice is very much attracted to him in return. Now, however, because in this world, when a vampire sires another, they have complete control over them, called the Hortari, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm not 100% sure of the pronunciation, but I think it's Hortari. And what that means is if they give a direct command, their sireling has to fulfill it. So Christopher has made his point that when he sires someone, he stays away from them entirely because he doesn't want to accidentally take away their free will. He believes that they should have their own choice and their own free will in this world. But he is highly attracted to Alice, and Alice is told about this, so she makes what seems like a very rash decision, says, I want to be a vampire, but I'm gonna fuck you first. So we do have some super sexy fun times in this. Once she is transformed, a coup is upon them from the Vampire King, and we start our story, jumps off from there. And the plot was great in concept, very, very bare bones in plot because it is only 95 pages. It is just a novella. The world building that we did get was really very, very minimal, but it was intriguing. Like, I'd like to see more of this world. I like this idea of the sireling, and I like this idea of perpetuating these artists and culture versus, versus bronze. I like the idea of this dualistic nature of the vampires, and the sex scenes were really steamy. The ones we got were really, really fucking good. They were short, but they were fucking good. What didn't work was the length of it. I would love to see this fleshed out and turned to like a full novella. I think it's got a lot of good components, and I think it could be something special. I really do enjoy this a lot, actually. And this is partially because it is so short. I didn't feel there was any real emotional connection with the hero and heroine during the sex scenes. And although sex scenes do not always have to have the emotional component, sometimes it's just about the banging. I thoroughly enjoy when there is an emotional connection, and there was, but it wasn't strong enough because I didn't have enough time with the characters. It just felt very instant. It's like, hey, this is a one night stand. We're going to do this, and then you're going to turn me into a vampire, and we're going to peace. It was one of those. And so I just wanted more of them together, more of, the little nuances that make up a relationship that they eventually we're hoping are going to have. So I wanted more. I wanted it to be longer. 3.5 on the chili pepper scale. There is graphic language and there is blood play in this. As they are vampires, they do exchange blood, and that was cool. I also saw that one coming, so I wasn't really surprised by it. So it's not like a crazy blood play scene, but they're vampires, so just there's blood. It's just how it is. That is all the books that I completed this week. And then I did start The Revenant by Micheal Punke. I found out that I was saying his name wrong. It is Micheal Punke. It's a novel Revenge about Hugh Glass, who was an American frontiersman who was mauled by a bear and left for dead by his fur trapping party and crossed the wilderness to get revenge. It was turned into a major motion picture starring Leonardo DiCaprio, who won the Academy Award for Best Actor in it a few years ago. And I am thoroughly enjoying this. I'm about 50% of the way through, and I am listening to it on audio and occasionally following through with it. This is awesome. I freaking love this. There's no romance, okay? There's none. But this is freaking great. If you like survivalist books or wilderness books, this is so far excellent, what I've experienced from it. And I am really, really enjoying it. Like, I'm very glad I picked this up. It speaks to me on a different kind of element. I'm not a big outdoorsy person, never have been, but like reading this, I'm just kind of like, I want to go camping. I don't want to get mauled by a bear, but I want to go camping. But I'm thoroughly enjoying it right now. So yeah. So that is what I have for you this week. I am very, very proud of this. I had 2 3-stars. I had a 5-star, and I didn't tell you the star rating of Vampire Throne. I gave it a 4-star, and I had a 4-star. So, yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying this reading week, and this coming week is looking like it's going to be not as impressive as this week, but it's going to be okay because of the books I'm reading. I'm going to enjoy them, but I want to take my time with them. And I've got a couple of videos coming out for you this week, so you'll be seeing my face quite a lot this week. So without further ado, I will say goodbye to you so I can go get this edited and up, and I can work on some of those other content for you. So hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you guys all soon with another video.